Hey, it's Kelly from paperbeadrollers.com. Now, I was in the store the other day and they had flip-flops on clearance and Halloween decorations out. Where I live here in North Carolina, it is 95 degrees and we have 2 weeks until school starts. So I don't know about you, but I think I'll take my margarita over the pumpkin spice for a few more weeks. So if you're like me and you want to make the most of the last few weeks of summer, then this week's tutorial is perfect for you. I am calling it the flip-flop facelift. So if your flip-flops could use a little bit of extra energy for the next few weeks of summer, take a look at this.
Buy up those clearance flip-flops because even if you live in an area where summer is coming to an end, you can still get them ready for next year. These cute flip-flops only cost me $1, but once I bling up the straps, I think they'll be worth so much more. Here's the supplies and tools that you'll need to bling up your own flip-flops. First, you'll need a pair of flip-flops. Now you can use a pair that you already have and breathe some new life into them. You can grab some from the dollar store like I did, or you can use a more expensive pair that will last a bit longer. Next, choose a ribbon to wrap around the strap. I recommend getting a color that matches the strap. Mine is 3/8 inches width, but you can get any width of ribbon that you'd like. You'll need some 24 gauge wire. Also, some beading wire. I'm using the Econoflex Very Fine. A spool of heavy-duty sewing thread that matches the color of your ribbon, and a needle. You'll also need some seed beads. You can use one color for the entire project, or multiple colors. That's up to you. Now I'm going to use the crystal throughout my project, except for one place where I'll use one pink seed bead in the flower. This will be my first time using the Spin-N-Bead Junior bead loader from Beadalon. Now this little gadget helps you put beads on your wire faster, so we'll see how that goes. You'll also need some glue like E6000, some nylon-coated pliers, and a pair of scissors. Links to many of the supplies I'm using in this video are down in the video description. Let's look at the paper beads for this project. I'm not going to show you how to roll them in this video, but up in the corner I will link a tutorial on rolling and glazing in case you're new to paper bead making. I'll also link those videos at the end of the video. All of the paper used in this project is 65-pound cardstock. You'll need 10 of these round beads for the flower petals, 5 for each flip-flop. The dimensions of this strip is 1/2 inch at the widest part, down to nothing at the other end, and it's 11 inches long. Now for this bead, you'll need to use 2 strips for each bead. Just lay them on top of each other and roll them like that. You'll need 2 leaf beads. You'll just use 1 strip to make the leaf bead, but it's the same dimensions as the petal strip, 1/2 inch by 11 inches long. Roll this bead into a rounded cone shape. I'll link the video up in the corner that shows you how to make cone beads. You'll need 12 of these longer beads, 6 for each flip-flop. The strip for this bead is 1 inch at the widest part, tapered down to nothing, and it's 6 inches long. You'll also need 8 of these saucer beads. The strip for this bead is 1/4 inch by 11 inches long. The last paper bead you'll need is for the center of the flower, so you'll need 2 of these. The strip is 1/4 inch at one end, down to 1/8 inch at the other end, and it is 11 inches long. We'll start by stringing the beads for the straps. I'm going to use my Spin-N-Bead to string these seed beads. First, you'll need a length of beading wire that is about 4 times the length of your straps. Start by stringing one seed bead and move it to the center of your beading wire. Then string one of the long green paper beads through both ends of the beading wire. Push it down tight to the seed bead. Make sure your ends are even. Now the Spin-N-Bead comes with this curved big eye needle. I'm putting my beading wire into the eye, and I'm going to hold the hook down into the bowl and turn it. Now the beads will move on to the needle for me. When I see that some beads are on the needle, I can carefully lift it up out of the bowl and push it down onto my beading wire. Now you can see that I got 5 beads, but I need 8. So I'm going to push these down onto my beading wire and get 3 more. As I said, this is my first time using this tool. I'm sure I'm going to get better at it as I use it more. I'm learning that it's all about the angle that you hold the hook. Now that I have my 8 beads, I'll put the end of my wire up through the bottom of my paper bead and pull it tight. Now I'll do the same thing with the other side. Again, I'm going to put my beading wire into the big eye of the needle, and then I'll run my hook through the beads as I turn the bowl. And again, I'm looking for 8 seed beads. Once I have my 8, I can put the beading wire up through the bottom of the paper bead and pull it tight. And there's our first section. I'm going to cap this off with 1 seed bead. Now I can put one of my saucer paper beads, another seed bead, and then start the next section with a long paper bead. And all of those beads are going to go down both wires. And we're ready to do the 8 seed beads again. So I'm going to repeat this process until I've got 3 sections. I'll speed up the video so you can watch me complete this strap, and I'll see you when it's done. When you get to the end of the 3rd section, just weave the remaining beading wire back down through your seed beads, and that will hold everything together securely. Okay, this first strap side is done. Now I'm going to need 3 more of these, 2 for each of the flip-flops. So I'm going to do those off camera, and we'll keep going with our project. Now it's time to make the flower. I like to use 24 gauge wire for this because it allows me to have a little more control over the placement of the petals. I use about 1.5 feet of wire. I'll have a little bit of extra at the end, but I'd rather have extra than run out. I'll start with my pink seed bead, then put on my white paper bead and a crystal seed bead. I'm going to bend the end of the wire up here just to hold that seed bead in place for now. I'm going to take the long end of my wire and I'm going to push it back down through the center of my white paper bead on the pink bead side. I'm going to pull it tight with my nylon pliers, and that is going to keep my pink seed bead in place. You should also put it through the crystal seed bead. Now I missed it, so I'm just going to have to go back and put it through. This piece is the core of our flower. Now, put your first paper bead petal on the wire along with the crystal seed bead. Push them down to the flower core. Keep that petal bead up against the core as you pull the wire through nice and tight. Now put the second petal on the opposite side. Put the wire back down through the paper bead, come out the bottom of the bead, and we're going to pull it tight again. Keep that bead tight against the bead core as you pull. Now underneath the core here, I'm going to put my wire back down through this crystal seed bead. It might be kind of tough to get it through at this point, but if you can get it through, it's going to secure the flower and keep everything tight. Remember that I'm bringing it through the crystal bead, but not through the white paper bead. Now, it doesn't matter if the wire is a little messy looking underneath. Nobody's going to see it. It's going to be tied to our flip-flop. Now it's time to do the third petal. And pull it tight. Now I can slide my wire underneath these existing strands of wire. I don't need to go back through this crystal seed bead. Everything is tight enough as it is. And now the fourth petal. Now if you notice the end of your wire getting bent, you can go ahead and clip it off so that you can easily thread the wire through your beads. And now the last petal and seed bead. Now I'll hold this one so you can see the back of the piece as I work. And there's the flower. Now I'm going to clip off my excess wire and just twist the two ends together like a twist tie. I'll press the ends down into the piece to hide them. The leaf will go right here, but I'm going to sew that into place directly onto the flip-flop. Now that all of our beads are strung, let's wrap our straps with ribbon. Grab your E6000 glue and about 3 feet of ribbon. Put a very small amount of glue on the inside of the toe thong. Find the center of your ribbon and wrap it around the toe thong. Bring your edges around to the top of the straps. Now we're going to crisscross from side to side to create a surface for our flower to rest on. As I was editing this part of the video, I realized that it's really hard to see exactly how I'm weaving this with that black ribbon. So I decided to stop and do a little demonstration using pink ribbon. It was a little bit easier to see on camera. So here you go. So we're going to wrap this around the toe. We're going to come up and around the front of the flip-flop. And once you get it secured, we're going to start just weaving back and forth from side to side, flipping the ribbon around the bottom as we go until you build up enough of a panel to hold that paper bead flower. Now you may want to place a dot of glue under the strap to hold the ribbon in place. I put it on the underside of the strap so that it doesn't leak through the ribbon and show a spot. Then you can just wrap down the rest of the strap, and you'll see that as we return to the regularly scheduled video. Now I'm going to wrap the ribbon up the strap, making sure to overlap it each time. When I get to the end of the strap, I'll clip the ribbon, put a dot of glue on the strap and on the ribbon. I'm going to fold the ribbon over so that I don't have a raw edge showing that could unravel. I'll do the other strap off camera and I'll be back to sew on the beads. I'm going to sew the flower on first. I'll bring my needle up underneath the ribbon to hide the tail. Then I'm just going to come up through the flower and tack it down by going up and down through my petals. Again, I'm just coming up between the petals, going over the wire, and going back down through, making sure that the black thread is hidden down underneath the beads so it doesn't show. Now that I've tacked it all the way around, I'm just going to tie off. I'm ready to attach the leaf. I'm going to place it right about here. I'll just put the bead on my string and then a crystal seed bead. Now I'll take my needle back down through the paper bead, and that'll put the crystal bead in place. And I'm just going to tack it to the ribbon and tie it off. And now we can finish up with the straps. Again, I'll start by tacking my thread to the ribbon. Now all I'm doing here is going over the piece, making sure that my thread loops down between the seed bead and the paper bead. What it's doing is it's going between these two and it's looping over the bead wire. That's what's holding the beaded piece onto the flip-flop. So I'm going to attack each of the 3 sections down very tight, running my thread up under the strap to get to the next section. And there you have it. Beautiful, blinged up flip-flops for the last of the summer days. I even wore them to the pool after I filmed this. They got wet and they still looked great. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please like and subscribe and be sure to join my Paper Bead Fanatics Facebook group. The link is down in the description of this video. Happy rolling!